Hi everyone, Comic Reviewer here, this time reviewing on the first issue of Suicide Squad from 1987. Now, as you know, the Suicide Squad was created by John Ostrander, who also gave us Star Wars Legacy. And this issue is meant to be the series that did start it all, and which James Gunn took some inspiration for his Suicide Squad film. And the cover mainly has the Suicide Squad members looking badass, and let's get on with the story. It starts off how at an airport, everything seems fine, everything seems normal, and we see how a young man is getting ready, putting the device down. We see how the president is showing up in his airplane. We see how a guy says no. And of course, we see how terrorists end up attacking, and everyone ends up getting killed or hurt. And we see them saying, "I thought we were supposed to watch the mayor and the governor. The feds would take care of them. Move." And we see how a digital-like villain known as Janji ends up attacking some of the officers. And we see how everyone ends up getting massacred, beaten to death. And we kind of see how one of them saying 300 years more of chaos. And we see how the airplane is about to get away, but we see one of them using a flame sword, cuts down the plane, and basically destroys it in a single go. And after getting away, turns out it was all staged and kind of planned to be for a planned actual terrorist attack by the sort of Karakian government and such, which they planned to do the actual thing and using people in that as test dummies with no concern or care. We see how at Belle Rev, we see how Vicky Bell is talking with one of the prison wardens and even finds out about one of the Superman villains, Parasite, that is being kept in confinement for superpowered villains, and even the prison warden pointing out them using a single rat each time to keep his powers in a minimum bay. And you can tell Vicky Bell is shocked and horrified at it, but you can tell the warden does make some good points, knowing that some of them are just too far dangerous to be controlled. And of course, we see how Amanda Waller gets the squad ready after keeping Task Force X a secret, and we see how the team are briefed on their next mission. And for those who don't know, the original lineup for Suicide Squad in the first issue had Deadshot, Bronze Tiger, Plastique, basically Mindboggler, also June Moon, and Captain Boomerang. And we see how Amanda Waller points out each of the members and what they do. And pretty much in the series, Captain Boomerang was kind of the box man to the group. And we see how Amanda Waller goes in saying, "Thank you, Colonel, I'll take it from here. First of those of you who don't know, I'm Amanda Waller. I'll run the Suicide Squad section of Task Force X." And we see how Plastic and Mindboggler were put on with special devices to make sure they don't do anything stupid. And we see how Captain Boomerang points out about them not wandering off and that. And we see how Amanda Waller decides to put one on Captain Boomerang for him being a jerk and a screw-up. And we see how Amanda Waller points out about the mission and what happened. And of course, even points out the sort of resistance members and terrorists and each of their abilities and skills. And even pointing about the sort of main leaders and how there's an old kind of World War II base used by the Germans called Joachim, which was used for the Suicide Squad film done by James Gunn, but only taking place in a different area. And we see how the team are basically tasked with getting ready, and we see how turns out an old friend from Lick Flags will be joining the team as well, which Amanda Waller is keeping covered. And of course, we see how everyone gets ready for the team for their mission, And we see how Captain Boomerang tries to hit on Plastic, saying, I don't know why. You shouldn't have down on me, love. I mean, I have never done you dirty. But if you want to, Barney, I'm the lad for you. No mistake. You're not a man. You're a mouth with legs. And of course, we see how Rick Flag gets into the old ship and sees his old love, Karen, who suffered a nervous breakdown during the mission of Cambodia. And we see how Bronze Tiger tries to warn Rick Flag about Captain Boomerang's behaviour. And we see how Mindboggler basically teaches him a lesson. And her saying, so how's it feel to be on the receiving end, Boomer? You bloody bike. No one laughs at Captain Boomerang. No one. And we see how Rick Flag tries to get the team to break up. And of course, get ready for their next mission. And this is the story. So I think the first issue definitely starts off pretty well. I think the point with DC Comics is that you can tell they do try to change things for the status quo and try to show people that they've got better ideas and can fix things than what Marvel can. I think Marvel back in the late 80s and 90s had fresh ideas, but over time did become stale and repetitive. I think DC, on the other hand, do keep things fresh. They do know what they did about rebooting during Crisis on Infinite Earths, as they know how to keep things fresh. So I think the issue definitely deserves a thumbs up. Still good, and still alright. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.